News Talk 980, CKNW. Welcome back to the Simi Sara Show. I'm Sam Ferris, and for Simi this week. And yes, I'm female. I'm not a bra-burning feminist, but I absolutely have an interest in where women have been and where they're going because it affects me, and it affects the women in future generations. And I'm allowed to have that concern because even in my industry, even in the media industry, I still see it being a boys' network. I still seeing it being a woman is definitely, even in 2016, we've just jumped from 2015. 2016, we're still seeing it. Now, looking back at the year of 2015, women had some great points and women had some not great points. But what amazes me is a new stat that's just come out. Women hold 8.5% of the highest paid positions in Canada's top 100 listed companies. Get that. 8.5% highest paid positions in Canadian top 100 companies is women. This is according to a report put together by global executive search firm Rosenzweig and Company. And by the way, that's almost double the 4.6% that was recorded in 2006. And I just looked at the top CEOs in Canada. It was released yesterday. Not one of them is a woman. Again, hang on a second. Don't roll your eyes, guys. I'm not being the bra-burning feminist. I'm just saying, what is the explanation for this? Are we moving forward? It doesn't really look that much like we are. And why? Why aren't we? Jay Rosenzweig, managing partner of Rosenzweig and Company, says that this is a tipping point towards gender equality in business, this 8.5%. And he joins me now on the phone to talk a little bit about this. Hi, Jay.
Hi, good to talk to you.
Good.
By the way,
yeah.
By the way, I'm quite inspired by these quotes. I'm all pumped up listening to Viola Davis and Patricia Arquette. I think it's wonderful to see these extremely inspiring women inspiring others as well, and I think that's part of the tipping point. Maya Angelou once said that each time a woman stands up for herself without knowing it, possibly without claiming it, she stands up for all women. And now on top of this, you have men such as our new Prime Minister standing up for equality, talking about how, look, it's 2015, it's about time we get moving on this. And, well, now it's 2016, and it's time for corporate Canada to follow his lead. We're not expecting 50% overnight.
No.
Or perhaps anytime soon, but surely 15, 20, 25% is an attainable goal.
So right now it's 8.5%, and that's double what it was in 2006. And you're saying tipping point. When you say tipping point, this is the kickoff, it should get higher, or this is the tipping point, this is the best that we can expect?
No, I choose to look at the glass as being half full.
Okay, good.
We're witnessing societal changes on the issue of gender equality. We have new regulatory rules for Canadian businesses. We have university studies. We have best-selling books. We have star male athletes leaning in for women. General attitude changes everywhere. Our report, which has been consistently published annually for more than a decade, is part of the conversation and one of the tools to promote change, and we'll continue. But we'd love to work ourselves out of a job and stop.
Yeah.
And that's only going to occur when real equality is achieved in the corporate world, and I believe we're moving more and more towards that goal.
Okay, now I know that this question has a myriad of answers, but in general, why do women only hold 8.5% of the highest paid positions in Canada? Why is that?
I think it's a remnant of historical cultural biases. It's a remnant, as you said, of the old boys network. The more you have women at the top, the more you can have women being role models for others and mentoring others. And I think partly it's a lack of historical social awareness and education on the matter. Study after study has shown that the more diversity at the boardroom table, the greater the business results. So in addition to the moral imperative, which is the most important aspect of this, there's a business reason to want to tap into a pool of highly talented and highly skilled individuals. So, Prime Minister Trudeau has made gender equality a priority with half of his cabinet being women. And now there's talk about him potentially filling all Senate vacancies with women to make the upper chamber equal in terms of men and women, and I think that's really great leadership. There's so many qualified women out there who can succeed at the highest levels of public and private sector jobs. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of mining this talent pool, and the corporate world simply hasn't been as aggressive by comparison in doing so.
Now, Germany made a decision to impose an actual quota, 30% women in the boardroom. Do you agree or disagree with that?
We still believe in education and public awareness as being the best route to get Canada's talented women and the United States' talented women and Europe's talented women into top corporate positions. But we've got to see some real improvements over the next few years. Otherwise, you might see Canada imposing some sort of quota rules. The Securities Commission has already mandated that Canadian companies, if they don't have a certain percentage of women at the top, at least indicating why and what measures they have taken to try and get the levels up quite a bit more. So we're seeing a little bit of that trickling in, but we feel that quotas are probably a remedy of last resort. Public awareness and education is hugely important, and I think we're seeing a lot of that seeping in more and more. And you're right, we kind of doubled the numbers in Canada from when we started doing the study about 10 years ago. And we feel that over the next 10 years, you're going to see an explosion of much greater gender diversity.
Okay, interesting. Can you hang tight there for a second, Jay?
Sure.
Okay, we're going to throw you on hold. We'll go to a quick break and come back and talk a little bit about this. 8.5% of women in the top positions in Canada. Is there a reason? I have an interesting couple of questions for you, and we'll get to it when we get back. You're listening to the Simi Sara Show. I'm Sam Ferris on CKNW. News Talk 980 CKNW. This is the Simi Sara Show. I'm Sam Ferris, in for Simi this week. 2015, looking back on the year for women in general, it was an interesting year. It had its ups and it had its downs, as it usually does. The ups, of course, Playboy magazine took naked women out of the actual magazine. Now, that's decades of, a historic, monumental piece of, I won't say trash. Playboy has actually great articles. I kid you not. They really do have great articles, and now they'll have more because Hugh Hefner has decided that having naked women in the magazine is outdated and it does objectify women. And here's a guy who lived with and slept with 3 girlfriends at the same time. So I actually have to give him a little credit for that. There's a very good chance that the United States could have its first female president. And our very own Liberal cabinet is now 50% female. 15 of them out of the 31 are of the female persuasion, and we have Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to thank for that. So it sounded good. Yay, team, way to go. But you know what? Last year, we still saw the stuff that we've seen over the years. And I will always say I am not a bra-burning feminist, but I am a woman, so I have an interest in this. I want to see if women are going to be at a much lower scale than the men, what's the explanation for it? Female actors in Hollywood are paid a fraction of what men are for the exact same roles. In fact, you know what? Tim Dickert and I were talking about this. The producer of John McCone's show, we're talking about this morning. They have all new figures for the new Star Wars movie, and they have all these new figures for the male roles. But Rey, who is the new female heroine, the young one, in the Star Wars latest episode, they do not have a little figurine for her. Why not? Well, they said because we didn't want to spoil it, but they came out with the guys. The Cannes Film Festival. You want to kick them in the kneecaps for this. They turned away any woman who wasn't wearing high heel shoes. Anybody in flat shoes was turned away. You idiots. And then there's a woman, and women continue to be stoned in Saudi Arabia for having gratuitous action outside of a marriage. Okay, but the guys, they get a lashing, they get a slap on the wrist. So we're not there yet. And some numbers that just came out for Canada. Women hold 8.5% of the highest paid positions in Canada in our top listed 100 companies. And this is according to a report by global executive search firm Rosenzweig and Company. I'm joined by Jay. Just to wrap this up a little bit, Jay, do you think that men think women are stupid?
Well, I'd be shocked if in this day and age,
because I've come across it.
Men would, within the corporate world, have that kind of perception. I guess you have ignorant people in all walks of life, but generally speaking, there might be subconscious biases going on, but literally to flat out, paint all women with a broad brush like that, I think I hope it doesn't exist today, that kind of notion and that kind of bias.
But if you went to I know it was a bit of an aggressive question. What I could say is, do you think that women are inferior in terms of intelligence? And do you think, if you ask them honestly, a couple of beers with the boys, do you think that they would actually believe that women do not and will not have the same intelligence as men, or they just need to wrap their head around that women, in Ward and June Cleaver of Leave It to Beaver, that those women have now moved out of that role?
I think those biases and the days of those biases are probably long gone. But the world continues to evolve. Men no longer want to be boxed in by certain social norms that maintain that child rearing is female work, and at the same time, all the stuff that traditionally was women's work needs to be looked at again as being vital and being extremely valued in society. In fact, probably the most important aspect of society is child rearing and bringing up the family and being the CEO of the family. So men no longer want to be trapped. Men no longer want to be trapped in a gender role that dictates that their job is to earn a living, and women no longer want to be trapped in traditional roles either. Mm-hmm. So the world needs to continue to evolve. Anne-Marie Slaughter, who is formerly the head of policy at the U.S. State Department, wrote a book on this. It's not a matter of women can't have it all or want it all. Yeah. It's a matter of looking at the world and the different aspects of one's life in a much more holistic way.
Okay, Jay, I got to let you go, darling, but I love what you're saying, and I agree with it, and let's hope that we see it in the future. Thanks for coming on.
It's a pleasure speaking with you.
All right, we'll be right back. You're listening to News Talk 980 CKNW.